Oh, a joy that fills my heart. Not a God who gave his life for a saint's our design.
Emmanuel Randolph Wheagar. Wheagar is the author of the book, The Modern Servant Leader. We're going to be talking about his book and many more on this special interview here with Emmanuel. Emmanuel meaning God is with us. And as you know, you Christians out there, God is indeed with us on this wonderful Sunday. I know you're here to talk about your work, your project, what you've been on. Let's start up with, firstly, who is Emmanuel?
Well, Emmanuel is just your next door neighbor. Your friend. I'm your brother. Your cousin. I'm just the guy next door who has set out to do extraordinary things. My entire life goal has been to make a difference in everything that I do, give my best to it, and ensure that every minute of my day is accounted for. And that's what my friends do expect, my kids do expect that, my community expect those attributes from me.
Wow.
Yes, sir. My upbringing is from Monrovia, Liberia. My upbringing, I came up in a family, a loving family. My father was a pastor, and that's where my background in gospel music comes from. My father and my mother, they were really deep into the gospel and community development, stuff like that. So I grew up going to school in Monrovia, and I saw some things that I believe was disparities as a young child in the business community, in the social community and stuff like that. And I decided, when I grow up, I would like to be my own boss. Because what I see going on here in Monrovia, where the Lebanese are calling the shots, and folks are working with them, and they condescend on them, and we have to look up to them for resources and stuff like that. I'm like, where do I want to be? Do I want to be in his place, or do I want to be the guy who's working for him? So as a young child, I became an entrepreneur because of what I saw.
At what age?
At about 9. At age 9, I was already looking for different ways to hustle here and there to get a dime. And at age 15, I told my parents, listen, please do not buy me any more clothes. I don't like the clothes you buy for me. I'm good. At age 16, they were moving out to the new home, and I decided to remain in Monrovia because I needed to chart my own course. I've always been the guy who would like to chart my own course and to be a self-determined individual. So ever since, I have chosen that path of entrepreneurship, leadership, and just giving back.
And what do you take away from doing that personally?
What I take away from giving back and being an entrepreneur is your ability to make an impact in people's lives. Because of you, a person is able to feed their family. Because of you, a person is able to pay their bills. And people can buy homes. And because you have established businesses that people depend on a daily basis. I believe that's very empowering. And I do advise that everyone out there, if you have an ounce of, business acumen, give it a shot. Don't be scared, give it a shot.
All right. So that's the gospel entertainment. What drove you into being a writer?
Being a writer, I remember at one point in time in New York when I graduated and had my first advanced degree, I worked with an accounting firm. So I was in a 6 weeks probation. And so after week 2, 3, and 4, what I would do is I would be the first to go to work. I'm ensure that I'm there at least 15 minutes before the doors open. And then I make sure that if I was given any project, I complete that project before the deadline. And then I'll make recommendations on how to make that project better. So I'm waiting for my 6 weeks. So week 4, I came back from lunch and I saw a big banner. Congratulations. Congratulations for what? It's not my birthday. this is where you're being promoted as director for staff training and development. So we have all these CPAs who could be my grandparents and stuff like that, and fathers and uncles who has more experience than I did, because I had just gotten my MBA at the time, and I was put in charge to create training for the entire firm. So I asked him, I said, does it come with a pay increase? He said, yes, it comes with a pay increase. I said, okay, cool. So I went to work and started developing training materials. I don't know what he saw in me, but he told me he saw some in me. And ever since, I have developed just a corporate training mentality. And I study and study and study, and this is since 2012, and I've been studying and studying. And then I went back and got another advanced degree in organizational leadership, just to understand how organizations work and how leaders work, what makes leaders special. So that's the background for which I decided to get into leadership and how to train people and how to coach leaders and how to coach businesses and stuff like that. Because I've seen leadership has been the reason for stress in the workplace. I've seen leaders have been the reason why people quit jobs and they're moving around and don't have real directions. And I believe that servant leadership is the leadership type that we need to embrace in this day and age. That's why it's the modern servant leader. A modern servant leader is the guy who will empower you. It's the guy who's going to work with you. It's the guy who you come to if you make any mistakes at work. So the modern servant leadership concept, which is very evident in this book, there's a lot of deep nuggets in this book that give a whole new perspective on leadership. And so because this leadership style is so potent and so strong, where it's more of an empowering. You have a leader who's working with you, that's empowering you, that's teaching you along the way. He's not the leader who's on top and just giving commands and doesn't care about your well-being. The servant leader serves first and then leads second. And he becomes your friend. He becomes the guy who you can go to if you have any questions. He's a coach. He's a coach. He has an impact in your life. And he's not a fear-based leader. He's not afraid of you. You shouldn't be afraid of him. So those kinds of leaders, you're able to come to him genuinely with mistakes that you've made.
Not being afraid.
Not being afraid.
So when you talk about leading from behind, in chapter 1 of this book, I know you literally touched on it a little bit,
right?
But you want to expand on that, leading from behind?
Leading from behind is a great concept that has been championed by Obama. It has been championed by Nelson Mandela. It has been championed by other leaders, where you allow the folks that you are working with to take charge. Take charge. It's like a shepherd who has a herd of sheep, and you stand behind the sheep, and you look at the flock, and you see who's the weakest, who's the highest performer on the team, who's the strongest. And that way you're able to identify those weak links, and you can go back to them and coach them, because you're leading from behind. You're not the guy who's in the office. You don't have any relationship with the guys in operations. You don't even know their job descriptions. You're a top-down leader. Those kinds of leaders, they're not personable. And in some companies, those kinds of leaders who do not lead from behind, sometimes you don't even know them. In most companies, the CEO is an invisible guy. You barely see the CEO. A servant leader will go down to his operational team and introduce himself and ask, how can I help?
How do you compare that to leadership in our country, where we come from?
Well, leadership in Liberia is completely fear-based. It's fear-based, it's top-heavy. To see the leader is very difficult. And even sometimes the relationship between the president and the vice president, the relationship is not very cordial because of fear. There's a lot of fear that's instilled in the leaders from back
There's
home.
a president thinks I want to do more than him, or maybe my boss thinks I want his job.
Yes, and a servant leader will be a guy who wants you to shine in your role. If you're the vice president for a servant leader, he wants you to shine as a vice president. He's not threatened at all. But the fear-based leadership that we perpetuate in our country cause a lot of fear, and people will come and follow you not because you have influence, but because they just want, they want to get paid, or they want some sort of resources or benefit from you.
How do you, in this sense, navigate as maybe a servant? Probably you're more qualified than your boss. Probably Emmanuel is a master degree holder. He's working on a boss who maybe an associate bachelor degree. What do you do in that space as a person?
In that space, again, it is the fear-based leadership. So if I'm given a role as a manager in a corporation, and all I have is an associate degree, and the guy who's working under me has a master's degree, what I would like to do with that guy is to leverage his expertise, because he's obviously, maybe he has more knowledge than I am, but I wouldn't be threatening to keep him away. I would bring him close and learn from him. That's what a servant leader would do. And delegate power. Like a servant leader will spread his power. If you have 5 people in your room, he will spread his power among them. Delegate those roles to them. Ensure that they make a decision. So all of the decision doesn't come from the leader. It burns you out as a leader. Yeah.
About it, and you get to shine. Yeah. You lead a team.
You lead a team to get to shine, but a servant leader wants his people to shine.
Okay.
Not him. A servant leader is a kingsmaker. If you work with a servant leader, you not be stressed out because you come to work happy coming to work, because you have responsibility that he trusts you enough to carry out. I think a lot of leaders today struggle with delegation. They feel that if a task is delegated to some of the members, it'll take power away from them. If you learn how to delegate, you can delegate all the tasks. And all you do now is to oversee, become an overseer. But if you have to handle everything in your company, in your organization, you're going to get burned out. You're going to get burned out. And because of the lack of delegation, that's the reason why you find companies will hire CEOs from outside. Because the guys within the company, they haven't learned the nitty-gritty of what's going on in the company. So you find that, a company will hire a CEO from outside to come in and change the culture. And sometimes it doesn't work. It happens with JCPenney's. A new CEO came in, he didn't understand the culture, and they even made things worse at JCPenney.
Emmanuel, ERW model is central to the book. What is it? And why should leaders adapt to it?
So the ERW model is everywhere in every chapter. Sometimes you have a 12-point model, and those are different tools. So if I'm talking about converting servants into leaders, folks that work for you, you have a duty to convert them into leaders, and don't be afraid. Because the more leaders you create, the better you become. There are certain legacies, right? A person will be like, okay, it's because of this person that I became a leader. I became better because I worked for this person, or because I worked with this person. So the ERW model is really, if you don't read a book at all, go to every chapter and just look at the ERW model for courage. For a leader to have courage, look at the ERW model. Look at the ERW model for team building and team leadership. And you will study the different types of teams. Look at the ERW model for, humility. How to be a humble type of leader. Humility is not weakness. It allows you to attract people to you, and that you can have an impact. Leadership is not about position, it's about influence. You can have folks following you. You can have hundreds of leaders. They might be following you because you're giving them a paycheck. But how much influence do you have on them? Are they able to vouch for you? So the ERW model in the book throughout is a tool. It's your toolbox. It's every leader's toolbox.
And what do you call the ERW model?
It's a model that I created. And I created this model from my research, from my own experience in life, from things that I believe work, that I have tried personally.
And do you think it is working?
Absolutely. Communication is clear and transparent. Whatever individual number 1 knows, individual number 10 knows the same information. They share data. And so that way, even if you have 50% of the team present on any given day, you have lost nothing. Everybody has the same information. So a high performance team is a team that collaborates with each other, that work with each other, that wants to empower each other, that want to ensure that the team wins and not the individual. The challenge, because the challenge I think servant leaders face today is because most people are predisposed to bad leaders. So when they come to an organization and see a servant leader, they'd be like, okay, is this really the boss? Because the CEO is coming down and even helping us to sweep, is this really the boss? But the servant leader does that to make you comfortable. It doesn't reduce his position, it makes him even more powerful. So the challenge is people aren't too accustomed to serve, especially in leadership in Africa, in Asia, in China, and other places. They're accustomed to authoritarian leadership, where Xi Jinping, that's not a guy you're going to
Easy to walk
up to, and he's going to even want to coach you. You'd be like, what's wrong with you? But this day and age, what we need is servant leadership, a person who served first, a person who wants their country to do better. I always mention Ibrahim Traore, what he's doing for his country. He served first. Even when he decided to step down, his folks said, no, please stay on, continue serving.
How is the book teaching that?
So time management is a very critical concept that every leader should adapt, because we all have 24 hours. Why is it that some folks use those 24 hours and become billionaires and others just are struggling, right? So time management is so critical that you want to ensure that every minute of your time is accounted for. If it's entertainment, yes, allocate time for entertainment. If it's time to grind. If it's time to log in as a student to study. But make sure all of the minutes of your day is accounted for. Don't have any loose time where you're just endlessly scrolling all day. Even if you're at work and you have some downtime, get into something, do a to-do list. There are tools in the book that teach you how to manage your time. There are software, there are apps. Everything is infused in the book that to help you how to manage your time. So time management is so critical, because the time you lose can never come back. And time is so critical that if you have 2 minutes to live, no amount of money is able to change that
around.
The book has been out for at least 3 weeks now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is this the first platform you're talking about it on?
We've talked about it on Royal Family Radio.
Okay.
We have a podcast coming up in Minneapolis. We have other. Well, we're not working hard. Our goal is to ensure that we sell 1 million copies of the book minimum.
Do you have that amount out there?
Do we have that amount out there? Oh yeah, absolutely. The book is everywhere books are sold. So everywhere books are sold: Apple Books, Goodreads, Barnes and Nobles, Amazon. Amazon is the quickest way to get it. You just type in the name, The Modern Servant Leader. It's going to pop up. It's going to look just like this. And so everywhere books are sold, you will find it. You will find us everywhere. We have a podcast that's coming up that's going to speak specifically on modern leadership.
So you in that you're going to be breaking down the chapters.
I'll break down the chapters.
Going from step to step.
Step to step.
All right.
Yeah. And leadership in of itself is found everywhere, in our homes, in our schools, in our communities, in government. As a leader, you must learn leadership. Leadership is a learned art, right? There's no born leader. If you're given a leadership role, yeah, maybe you're privileged to get that leadership role, but while you're in a leadership role, you have to learn leadership. It's an art. To be a great leader, you have to learn it. You just can't wing it because you have the role. So I make you a supervisor today.
And people will say you got to fake it to make it.
Yeah, don't fake it,
Is
learn.
that possible in that?
No, learn. The tools are out there. Get this book. It'll teach you everything you need to do, whether you're the president of a country or whether you're a mother at home or you're a father at home. Get the book. You're going to learn a lot. I'll tell everyone is you are a leader as long as you have influence. Don't wait for titles to consider yourself a leader. You can get into an organization, and if you see something that needs to be done, take leadership on it and do it. Do not wait for title. And having a title sometimes is very risky because you get comfortable. You feel that because you have the title, you are a leader. You're not a leader. A leader is a person who takes charge, a person who works in a company and to see dirt somewhere, they will clean it without being asked to do it. A leader is a person who's going to get into a space and execute a task, even though it's not on their list, it's not on their job description, and to execute those tasks. You have found a leader, a guy who's able to take charge without being told to take charge of something. That's why I always tell my staff, take leadership on this, take leadership on that, take leadership on this, right? And that's empowering. So I would advise everyone out there, be a person of influence, do not chase the position. But even if you have the position, chase influence, learn as much as possible. Learn. The more you learn, the more you earn. And you earn respect, you earn loyalty. Egotistical leaders don't earn loyalty. They earn fear. But a leader who is influential, you will certainly have loyalty. Even after they leave your company, they still become your friends. And mind you, sometimes things turn around. The same person who worked for you today, tomorrow could be the person who is you're answering to. So just be careful on how you deal with people when you're in leadership. Be very careful because we're all human, we're all made equal, and we should exercise respect to each other regardless of your role, regardless of the position that you're in. Exercise that. So that's my nuggets to everyone. It was an absolute pleasure hanging out with you. Cyrus.
Emmanuel, thanks for coming through. Emmanuel Randolph Wheagar.